What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another adventure here at the Outpost. In today's adventure, we are yee-hawing our way through the Old West. That's right, we are going through every Western movie in my collection. There is a shit ton of them. You know why? Because Westerns are my favorite genre. It is a bygone genre. We don't get too many of them around today, and that is an absolute shame because there is nothing quite like the Western. The brutality, and some of the harder ones, all the way from Clint Eastwood, Sergio Corbucci, Sergio Leone. You got your silly Westerns from John Wayne. You got your good Westerns from John Wayne. You got most of your bad Westerns from John Wayne. You got your modern Westerns. There is so much you can do with this genre. It is one of my favorites. I love seeing the way it's blended into new genres today, but I still wish that we still got some of our older Westerns still being made today. You get a few every now and again, but not nearly as many as I would like. So I figure in today's adventure, let's go through and look at this massive pile of amazingness that is the Western. All right, and we're going to dive into this. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on each movie, only because we have a lot of movies here, and I want to be able to fly through them. I'll try to only stop on really good ones, or if I have a particular point that I want to say. Otherwise, we're just going to fly through these as quick as possible. And we're going to start it off with my favorite Western director, and that is our man Sergio Leone, the man who basically invented the spaghetti Western and who created this amazing niche genre within the Western that I love. And we're going to start with A Fistful of Dollars. This is a freaking awesome movie. Clint Eastwood really bringing the heat. These movies like this are what pretty much they made Clint Eastwood. This is an awesome old school Western. It's very violent, very sweet. A lot of people have copied this movie, and for good reason. It's that fucking good. I'm not gonna do cuts between these. I'm just gonna put these off to the side and just keep grabbing ones as we go along. Next, A Million Ways to Die in the West. It's a solid comedy, not nearly as good as his Ted movies, but there's some good jokes to be mined from there. I only saw it once in theaters. Don't know when I'll get around to it again, but it wasn't terrible. All the Pretty Horses. I wasn't sure if this was a Western at first, mainly because I still have yet to see it. And basically, if I didn't know if it was a Western, I consulted IMDb. And if IMDb had it on there as one of the genre's Westerns, it got thrown into the pile. Picked this movie up for $2. Matt Damon, Henry Thomas, the kid from E.T., Penelope Cruz. I'm going to get around to this one. It looks not too terrible. It's got some terrible reviews, but I never trust what other people say. Who knows better than me? And we have Almost Heroes. This is a really dumb, funny comedy from Matthew Perry and Chris Farley. I think this was actually the last movie Chris Farley made before he died, too. It's dumb, but it has some good bits in it. Like this movie, when I was a kid, it would crack me up. I would watch that shit all the time. I haven't seen it in a while, but I feel like I could easily one night, after toking a little of the ganja, watching that bad boy. Next, we got American Outlaws. I watched this once when I was a kid. I remember this movie being terrible. It looks terrible. You got Colin Farrell, Scott Conn, Ollie Larder. I think this is like early 2000s. I imagine it's probably crap. I remember it being crap, so I think it's probably crap still. But who knows, maybe one day I'll get back to it. The Assassination of Jesse James by that coward Robert Ford. I hate this fucking title of this movie, but the movie is fucking incredible. One of Brad Pitt's greatest roles, Casey Affleck, regardless of who he is as a person in real life, is still really good in this movie. This movie is it's a slow burn, but it's one that definitely pays off. It is fucking incredible. Another movie I had to consult IMDb, but it told me it was a Western. It's just not a Western here in America, but is the movie Australia. Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman. This is a peculiar movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. It's definitely way too fucking long. It's like, what do we got? It's 165 minutes. It's insanely long. There are parts of this movie, like there's the middle chunk of this movie I really like. And then it hits a part where I was like, oh, all right, like that was pretty good. It's over. And then there was still like 40 minutes left in the movie. So that's where this movie really falters. But it's not terrible. Definitely worth a watch. It has some like very decent moments in it, and like the whole middle portion of that movie is really good. So you can get along with it. This movie looks wild. Bad Girls. I've yet to see it, but 4 of 90s biggest actresses playing a outlaw gang. What can go wrong there? Definitely. It looks like it's probably crap, but I'm very excited to watch that one at some point. Blazing Saddles, one of the funniest movies ever made. This movie, if you get offended easily, or if you are part of the PC brigand, don't watch this movie. I don't need you canceling it. All right. Not that I think it could get canceled. Mel Brooks doesn't give a fuck. That movie's amazing. Bronco Billy, another part of the wondrous Clint Eastwood collection. I've yet to watch this movie, but it looks great. I'm trying to collect every single Clint Eastwood movie. So obviously when I found that one, I had to pick it up because I couldn't find it anywhere on Blu-ray or anything. I'm sure it's somewhere, but I prefer to find my movies out in the world instead. I try to only order movies when I absolutely have to online because I like the thrill of finding it in person. It's just so much better. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This is another phenomenal Western movie. This was really great when it first came out. I've only seen it a couple of times. Definitely need to give this movie a rewatch again. I don't remember too much from it other than the epic finale of the movie. But I remember really liking it when I saw it for the first time. I gotta bend down for those ones. Ooh, we get to our first John Wayne movie here. Well, alright, Pilgrim. Chisholm. That is the silliest fucking name for a movie I've ever heard. I've yet to watch this one. I think this is towards the end of his career because he's looking a little fat in the jawline there. I'll get around to this one at some point. Looks pretty solid. He's another one. I want to collect as many John Wayne Westerns as I can. I just haven't watched that many John Wayne Westerns. I'll just grab both of these since they go hand in hand. And that is the double comedy classic of Those City Slickers. These movies, I remember being hilarious. I watched them when I was a kid. I actually haven't seen them in a little while, so I'm going to have to give those ones a rewatch. But, I mean, Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, how can you go wrong? We've got the Clint Eastwood Western Icon Collection, which comes with High Plains Drifter, which is a phenomenally violent Western movie. It's absolutely incredible. And then the movies Joe Kidd and Two Mules for Sister Sarah. I haven't seen any of the other two. High Plains Drifter is the only one out of this one I've watched, and the movie is incredible. I definitely got to get around to the other two as well. Oy. Two left from this pile. We have one of my favorite Westerns ever. I watched this in high school in a 20th century literature through film class. So when we were learning about the Old West and the American Civil War and all that stuff, we watched Dances with Wolves. One of my favorite Kevin Costner movies, one of my favorite Westerns. This movie is just incredible. I remember we watched it on like the tiniest TV, and I was still like enthralled with it to the point that when I went home, I went to my stepdad, who at the time he had this amazing collection. I didn't have too many movies at that point. I was like, "Do you have Dances with Wolves?" He was like, "Of course I have Dances with Wolves." And we had a really sweet TV at home, so queued that bad boy up and finally watched it on a TV worthy of it being seen on. I would love to see it on the big screen. If that could come back out on the big screen for like an anniversary. When did that movie come out? It came out in 1990. So we could have done it last year if it wasn't for the fuckery of 2020. Would have been nice, but maybe one day. Last in this pile that I have here from that first crate stack over there is Dead Man. This is a movie I haven't seen yet. One of the few Johnny Depp movies I still have left to watch. I'm definitely going to get around to it soon because I love Johnny Depp. That dude makes the most interesting movies, or at least he did back in the 90s when he was still like up and coming. His movie choices and selections were always super interesting to me. So I definitely got to get around to that bad boy. Sergio Leone pops back in again with another one of his amazing spaghetti westerns, part of his spaghetti western trilogy that he did, and that is For a Few Dollars More. This movie is another freaking just incredible Clint Eastwood spaghetti western. Lee Van Cleef, I think his name is, is fucking great, dude. As a villain or as a hero, that man he was a phenomenal addition to spaghetti westerns. So awesome. Rest in peace to that man. I think he's dead. I don't know. If he's not dead, then I retract the R.I.P. And if he is, then it stands. Another John Wayne movie, Fort Apache. I've yet to get to this one. It looks cool though, so I'll get there at some point. One that I actually just picked up the other week that looked hilarious that I'd never heard of, Geronimo. All about the Native American Geronimo, played by the only Native American we have to use in movies, Wes Studi. But just look at young Matt Damon there. That is the funniest picture. That did not do him any justice there. When did this come out? This had to be like way before he got big or anything. Like, he looks like a fucking baby there. What a collection of actors. Gene Hackman, Robert Patrick, and Jason Patrick. That's what his name is. That guy, Jason Patrick. I only ever know him from The Alamo. But which probably should have been in here. Oopsies. Add that one to the pile. I have The Alamo somewhere. The new one with Dennis Quaid and Billy Bob Thornton. Well, the new one. New one now. I do not have the John Wayne Alamo. Although I do want to get that because that one actually looks like a good one. We got Going South with Jack Nicholson. This movie is absolute nonsense. It's stupid as shit. Surprisingly, it is directed also by Jack Nicholson. So go figure. But yeah, that was a blind buy that I'll probably never watch again. But glad to have it as part of the Western collection. One of my favorite Westerns, my second favorite Western actually, and that is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This was the final movie in the trilogy with For a Few Dollars More and A Fistful of Dollars. This is the best one. This one is absolutely fucking incredible. All three of these guys are so good in this movie. This is one of the best Sergio Leone movies ever made. There is only one of it that tops it for me, and that is my favorite Western movie, but we'll get to that later. We have another great Clint Eastwood one, Hang 'em High. This movie is freaking great. It is violent as fuck. They try and hang him, but they don't. Wait till he's dead, and he gets loose, and he hunts down all the people that tried to hang him. It's simple premise, and it works, and it is fucking awesome. Watch Hang 'em High if you haven't seen Hang 'em High. This movie. Widely considered by some people to be one of the worst movies ever made, Heaven's Gate. I've yet to see it yet. I got it mostly because of like all the like crazy, terrible reviews from people about it. So naturally, like, I had to see it whenever I came around to it to buy it. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes though, so that is the one thing that continuously gives me pause about watching this movie. One of these days, I will get to it though. Gary Cooper pops up on here. High Noon. This was a solid movie. I liked it. It was just all about like a guy waiting to face down a gunman at high noon. It was really good. I liked it a lot. Definitely not as good as some of the other westerns I've seen, but for like one of the early westerns that were being put out, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. Probably the most star-studded western ever made. That is How the West Was Won. This has pretty much every actor you could fucking think of from around that time that was making movies. Like, let's see what we got here. We got Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb, Gregory Peck, George Peppard, Debbie Reynolds, James Stewart, Eli Wallace, John Wayne. Like, there's an insane amount of people in this movie. This is cool. It's like a vignette kind of movie, so it's like 3 different stories that all kind of like mesh in and out with each other. This is Pulp Fiction before Pulp Fiction. It's probably just continuing to show that Quentin Tarantino's never had an original thought. That's a mean thing to say. I love Quentin Tarantino. He's probably my favorite writer-director, and he gives hope to everyone when really you can just steal from all the greats if you look far enough back into your film history, which is what he does. He's a big film buff, and that's a great thing. I don't mean it to be an insult when I say stuff like that. Moving on. Little Big Man. Dustin Hoffman, supposed to be playing a Native American, which is Very funny. Oh, I think he's adopted by Native Americans, so that would make much sense. I haven't seen this movie yet. I want to watch it. It looks really good. I'm a big Dustin Hoffman fan, so I'll get to that one at some point. Another one of my favorite westerns, Magnificent Seven. This is another movie that's freaking phenomenal. Just the cast in this alone too. You know, you got Eli Wallach again. You got Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Bronson, Robert Vaughn, James Coburn. Like, that's just a fucking phenomenally stacked cast in this movie. The whole ending too is like really sick. I love this movie. I love Seven Samurai too, which is what this is based on. But I think I gravitate a little bit more to this one just because it's shorter. Like, Seven Samurai is tough to continuously watch because that's a long fucking movie. What else we got? We've got The Man from Laramie, James Stewart. Got it for $2.99. Have yet to watch it. I'll get there. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. This is actually, I will be watching this soon because I have it in my A to Z challenge of movies in my collection of which I've never seen. So this one, I will be watching this one shortly. I'm only up to F in the challenge though, so it's going to be a little hot minute before we get there. Mclintock, another John Wayne movie. It looks, I guess it's like a comedy. It looks like the back. It just looks like the movie ends with like a really silly like fist fight in the town. Haven't seen it. I'm gonna get to this one too. I haven't seen a lot of. I keep buying the John Wayne westerns, but not watching the John Wayne westerns. There's very few that I have watched. I mean, the ones that I've watched are like really good, but I just like these lesser ones I've just yet to get to. An amazing Sergio Corbucci western is The Mercenary. This is a really sick western, violent. I really tend to like the Sergio Corbucci ones just because he was a really violent western filmmaker. Like, he really let the blood and violence flow in these movies. And this one is one of the like really good ones with Franco Nero too, who was Django in all the old Django movies before Quentin Tarantino made Django Unchained. Two more left in this little pile, which is from that second case right there. This is The Missing. It's a Ron Howard western. That's right. Tommy Lee Jones, Cate Blanchett, tied for first, my favorite actress, along with Kate Winslet. My two Kates, I love them. This movie is really good. This is a really solid western. I did not expect this from Ron Howard either. But this movie is absolutely sick. You should definitely watch this one if you haven't seen it. And then last in the pile is one of the racist, perhaps, movies. I don't know. It was a different time. It's Navajo Joe, and it's funny because if you look right there, that guy who is supposed to be a Native American is Burt Reynolds, who's not a Native American. And it wouldn't be so much of a problem if he didn't look. Oh, if we can get it. Come on, can we see it? Yeah, look at him. Look at him right there. Look at him. And so... Old time Hollywood, man, was a trip. That's like, I can't. So it was like, why don't we just get a Native American? Fuck that. Let's just make Burt Reynolds look like a Native American. But whatever. We'll give him a pass because it's Sergio Corbucci, who's like Italian. So fuck if he knows and fuck if he cares. The movie's pretty silly. It does have some really good parts in it, and Ennio Morricone has a fucking bitchin' western soundtrack in this movie. But it's also really fucking silly, especially with that makeup. Clint Eastwood rides again with the outlaw Josie Wales. I mean, what is there to say at this point? Clint Eastwood makes a western, you fucking watch it because it's fucking gold. Like, every western that man does is amazing. Like, he's just so phenomenal. I'm so happy he's still around and still making one. We got Cry Macho coming in a few weeks. I'm super pumped for that movie. The Quick and the Dead. This is Sam Raimi directed, the guy who did the Spider-Man movies. This one, this is a very underrated Western. Like when people talk about Western movies, you never really see too many people bring up The Quick and the Dead, and they should because this movie is fucking incredible. It was Russell Crowe, like right as he was like coming to America and getting big. You had Gene Hackman and Sharon Stone bringing the A-list talent, and look at that, baby Leonardo DiCaprio. Like this movie is fucking phenomenal. It's all about Gene Hackman is just a douchebag who puts on this competition of just like these shootouts in town, and all these like crazy gunslingers show up for it, and they're all facing off against each other to win like a buttload of money. And she's coming back because she's got a score to settle with that guy, and it is fucking awesome. I saw this movie in high school, and it fucking blew me away. It was movies like that like really dove me into like the Western genre. And after I saw shit like that, I was like, I want to see as many Westerns as I can because these movies are freaking incredible. Another John Wayne one, Red River. Surprise, surprise. I have not seen this one. I think that one looks like it's towards the tail end of his career also. This one I did see because I remember seeing about it and it looked fucking awesome, and that is Red Sun. And it's Charles Bronson as a gunslinger who ends up teaming up with these samurai dudes to like help them fight some like enemies together. It is freaking, it's so sick. This movie is phenomenal. I love it. It's so good. Find this movie and watch this movie. It is freaking so good. It's phenomenal. Ooh, finally we get to a John Wayne movie I have seen, and it is my favorite John Wayne movie, and that is Rio Bravo. This movie is so fucking good. Everybody, Dean Martin, everyone just fires. I don't want to like say too much about this movie because like you should just go watch this movie. But like the whole opening of it is, I remember watching it and I was just like, this movie is fucking incredible. I watched it with my stepdad because he was a big Western fan also, and we both loved this movie. It was so freaking good. I actually haven't watched it in a while too, so now like going through these, that makes me like want to go back and watch that. But TJ, you should watch new John Wayne movies that you haven't seen. Quiet, TJ. I'll watch Rio Bravo over and over again and I'll fucking like it. Another John Wayne movie that I've seen. This was actually the first John Wayne movie I saw, and it was solely because it was part of the ride of the great movie ride at Disney World, and that is The Searchers. I remember seeing it all the time. Every movie they had on that ride as like a set piece, I like immediately once I started like really getting into movies was like, I need to see all of these movies. So this was the first John Wayne movie I'd ever seen, and it was freaking awesome. He plays an absolute scoundrel in this movie. The shot selections in this movie, the final scene in this movie is still copied to this day. Everybody copies that shot, for good reason. It's fucking incredible. This is one of the best Westerns you could ever see. Thank you, Disney, for introducing me to that. Shane, I have not seen this movie. The most that I know about this movie is that we see clips of it in Logan because this movie heavily influenced Logan. So I'm definitely gonna have to get around to that. I didn't put Logan in the pile because like even though like it kind of has elements of a Western, it's still not really a Western. But I mean, if you wanted to throw it in there, knock yourself out. I wouldn't give two shits. My favorite Western comedy. This is a movie I've probably watched more times than I care to admit. Shanghai Noon, baby. This is one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. It's just so funny and silly. It's great. This movie kind of reminds me of Red Sun in the sense of like it both has like a stagecoach scene where it's like we've got Western people teaming up with the Orient who's like flinging samurai swords at everything. I mean that's the tiniest of similarities, but it's there. This movie is awesome. Owen Wilson's hilarious. Lucy Liu is great in this movie. It's just everything about this movie is just so much fun. Watch Shanghai Noon. I'm assuming you've all seen Shanghai Noon, and if you haven't, I'm just going to pretend like you're not here because for shame. Silverado. This is a fun Western movie. It's made by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. So when I heard that he had done a Western, I was like, I need to fucking watch that movie immediately. It's a lot of fun. You got a huge cast in this movie. So look at everybody on here. You got Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Rosanna Arquette, John Cleese, Kevin Costner, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover. Like, a huge cast in this movie. It's a lot of fun. This was like one of Kevin Costner's first too. Like, look at it. He looks so young right in there. Look at him over there in the corner. But I mean, you say Kevin Kline, and I say, where and when can we watch it? Because that's how much I love Kevin Kline. Another John Wayne movie, Stagecoach. I think this is one of his earlier ones because he looks pretty young on that back cover there. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I haven't watched it. I'll get there. I found this one at a local thrift store. It is Sukiyaki. I don't know how to pronounce. Don't hold me to this. Sukiyaki Western Django. I've yet to see it, but it's presented by Quentin Tarantino, and it looks to be kind of like a retelling of A Fistful of Dollars. So I'm definitely super excited to watch this one. I love my foreign films. This one looks like it's going to be pretty dope to check out. We'll get there. Another great Western comedy, Three Amigos. If you haven't seen Three Amigos, fuck you. I'm kidding, that's harsh, but you should still get your ass out and watch this now, or that fuck you stands. This movie is so funny. Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, Martin Short. Martin Short cracks me up so much in this movie. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Martin Short's stick, but especially in that movie, he always cracked me the fuck up. Another one of my favorite Westerns. This movie might be like one of the most badass Westerns ever made, and that's Tombstone. I fucking love this movie. This is one of those movies that I can watch over and over again, and it never, like, gets worse. It's never one of those ones where it's like, you don't want to watch it because you've seen it so many times. Like, I remember a night I came home from being out with my friends, and my dad was home, and he had Tombstone on, and I sat down. It was about halfway through the movie, and we watched it, and then it was ending, and then they were like, hey, coming up next, Tombstone. And we watched the whole movie again, and it was totally worth it. That's how much I love this movie. Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott, Val Kilmer as that foursome. Like, what more do you need? Fucking love Bill Paxton. You fuck. You had to take him. Rest in peace, Bill. John Wayne parties on again with the train robbers. Haven't seen it. I'll get to it. Another great old Western with one of my favorite actors of all time, Humphrey Bogart. This is a great dark Western. Humphrey Bogart is freaking phenomenal in this movie. I love everything about this one. You should absolutely see this movie if you haven't seen it, or even if you've never even seen a Humphrey Bogart movie, because Humphrey Bogart is the fucking man. We have the Coen brothers' True Grit. I know I'm in the minority here, but I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. It's good, but it's not like, I feel like I've just seen so many Westerns that, like, when I saw this one, it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, it was cool. That was a movie. That was a Western movie. I'll probably never watch it again. I still got to get the John Wayne one. And surprise, surprise, I have never seen the John Wayne one. But we'll get it. We'll get it, and we'll get there. Oof, all right, we're almost done with the DVD pile, and we can start in on the Blu-ray Western movies that we have. Another John Wayne movie I actually have seen, and that's The Undefeated. This was a cool little Western. Him, Rock Hudson, he's like defending something. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you anything about this movie. But I remember I liked it. It was good. They're like facing off about something. And that's all I got for you. So watch it. One of Clint Eastwood's best Westerns. Got him fucking 4 Academy Awards for it. Unforgiven. This is a really good movie. I like this movie a lot. I still prefer his spaghetti Westerns. But for his newer Westerns that he was making after he stopped working with Sergio Leone, this is one of his best. This is such a good deconstruction of the Western. I love this movie a lot. This movie is really good. I gotta get it. Well, I gotta upgrade a lot of these movies. So I'll get around to them at some point. But I definitely gotta do it. Another John Wayne movie I have seen is The War Wagon. And it's John Wayne and Kirk Douglas are taking this armored vehicle across like these like crazy areas that they got to get it across. And it's like this insane wagon that's built for war. Go figure. But it's a fun movie. I like this movie a lot. I remember I actually watched this movie for the first time. I'd never seen it, and I thought it was really dope. I loved it. Put it away, completely forgot about it, and then like months later, was looking for a new Western that I had never seen before. And I was like, "Oh, The War Wagon. That looks dope. I've never seen that one before." And no, I shit you not, I made it through 45 minutes of this movie before I realized I had seen it already. Because I'm a fucking moron. Don't do weed, kids. Oh boy, another Western comedy, and this one might be the fucking craziest one out of all of them. Wild Wild West. That's all I'm gonna say about that movie. This movie's terrible, but I actually have a soft spot for it. I could watch it no problem because, like I said, it's got my boy Kevin Kline in it. And the whole scene where they go to like the party that Loveless is holding, and like he starts slapping on the chick's boobs that he thinks is Kevin Kline, or like Will Smith and Kenneth Branagh have like the one-upmanship of lines, and like Kenneth Branagh just starts dropping like really racist lines on them. This movie is a fucking trip. It blows my mind that movie even ever got made. And then another twofer, the Young Gun Boys, Young Guns and Young Guns 2. I haven't seen Young Guns 2, but I've seen the first one. Just fucking really good, wild, great 80s Western movie. Definitely going to get around to Young Guns 2 at some point. These movies are a lot of fun. And that does it for the DVD pile. Now let's get into the sweet-ass Blu-ray pile. Kicking off the Blu-ray pile is a movie that I saw twice in theaters because I fucking was obsessed with it. I'm still obsessed with it. I watch this movie a lot because it's just that damn good. And that's 3:10 to Yuma. Russell Crowe, Christian Bale. What more could you fucking need? I want to upgrade this to 4K because I can only imagine how freaking good this probably looks in 4K. So I'm going to get to that at some point. But this is one of my favorite Western movies. And I forgot to move that pile to make space. Get out of the way, you fuck. We've got the space. It's back. 3:10 to Yuma's got a good place to sit now. Next up is the movie Ain't Them Bodies Saints. I watched this once. I remember liking it. Couldn't tell you shit about what it's about. I saw it when it first came out, which is probably a while ago now. That's taking too long to find what year it was. I would imagine it was probably the early 2010s. But, we'll get back around to that. One of my favorite Westerns, The Big Gun Down. As you can start to see from this, I'm a huge fan of the spaghetti Westerns. I tend to like those a lot more than like the regular Westerns and even like the modern Westerns. I'm pretty sure Ain't Them Bodies Saints was a modern Western. And they're all right, but like nothing beats like these old school spaghetti Westerns that were just violent, very simplistic in story structure, and also had an absolute bitching score by Ennio Morricone. And this was one of those movies, absolutely top-notch. The music in this movie absolutely fucking sells it. Lee Van Cleef, as the guy hunting this dude down, absolutely sells this movie. This was one of the finest spaghetti Westerns I'd ever seen in my life. I fucking love this movie. So you should watch The Big Gun Down if you haven't. A completely fucked up Western is Bone Tomahawk. This movie, absolutely violent, very, very violent. If you don't like your Westerns gruesome, that's not the one for you. Blind Buy that I bought, Brimstone, had a lot of Guy Pearce, Dakota Fanning, and then 2 Game of Thrones alums in Karis Van Houten and Kit Harington. This movie's fucking terrible. I was not a fan of it. I was bored to tears. Just nothing happens in the fucking movie. And whenever something does happen, you just don't care. Very silly Western. that I wasn't the biggest fan of when I saw it in theaters, but it's grown on me since in the viewings I've seen. That's Cowboys and Aliens. I should have known never to count Jon Favreau out. And this movie is actually a lot funner than I remember it being. I remember it feeling like they were wearing too many hats, that it was just too much going on with like too many genres. But I watched it recently, and it actually flows really well with itself. It's surprising how good it actually. It's better than it has any right to be. We'll leave it at that. And you get Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford together. Like, come the fuck on. Like, how could you not like that? Another Sergio Leone, Duck You Sucker. This is the one Sergio Leone Western movie that I have still yet to see. So I gotta get around to that one. I'm so blind by one that I just found at Best Buy when it was coming out. And this was The Duel with Woody Harrelson and Liam Hemsworth. It was all right. It wasn't terrible. Woody Harrelson definitely made it worth a watch. Liam Hemsworth can be very hit or miss for me. He wasn't terrible in the movie, but it wasn't exactly anything to write home about. My favorite Sergio Corbucci Western, and that is The Great Silence. This movie is violent as fuck. It is uncompromising, and it is, if you like your movies dark, this one is the way to go. This movie is uncompromising, and I fucking love it for it. Amazing. First time I watched that movie, it blew me away, so much so that I made my employees at the theater that I run watch it too. And they were like, what the fuck are you showing us? They were not that much of fans. Quentin Tarantino's second Western pops up on here, and that is The Hateful Eight. This is a phenomenal movie. I just rewatched this not too long ago, and it holds up so much better than I thought when I saw it in theaters. This movie is so great. Just putting fucking 8 people in a room and just letting their characters just bash it out and letting the characters propel the story. It's phenomenal. It is very hard to write a script like that, and he just shows just how at the top of his fucking game he is, because he's that goddamn good. The only new modern Western that I really am a huge fan of is Hell or High Water. This was a really solid movie. Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, Ben Foster. Just an awesome movie about bank robbing in the modern age. As a huge fan of that movie, you should definitely check it out. Christian Bale pops up back again. The movie Hostiles. This movie was dope. This was a lot better than I thought it would be. When it first started, I thought it was going to be very slow, and I was settling myself in for what I thought was going to be a slog. But once they set out on like the main journey and the story kicks in, this movie just becomes it becomes really good. I don't want to really say too much about it because it's just one of those ones that you should just watch knowing as little as possible. I love knowing as little as possible sometimes when I go into movies, and this was definitely one of them. It was great. In a Valley of Violence, Ethan Hawke, John Travolta. It's a solid Western. It was okay. There's a Karen Gillan in that movie, for you Karen Gillan fans out there. I didn't even know, and then when she showed up, I was like, oh shit, that's Karen Gillan. Jane Got a Gun. There's another one, kind of like In a Valley of Violence. Like, I didn't hate it, but it was one of those ones that was like, yeah, all right. That was a Western. Now, this movie, IMDb did not say was a Western, but it takes place in the Midwest. It takes place solely on ranches. They're cowpokes, they're cowhands, they're dealing with. To me, this movie is most definitely a Western. Let's Let 'Em Go. Kevin Costner, Diane Lane. This is a newer movie. It came out in 2020. This movie is really good. The middle of this movie has like 2 gut-wrenching scenes that were like the tension fucking through the roof. I fucking love that movie too. I was a huge fan of it. And IMDb, I think you gotta reconsider. I think it's a Western. Probably everybody's least favorite Western, The Lone Ranger. This is a movie that definitely shows Disney in excess. There was no need to spend the amount of money that they spent on this movie, and if you made this movie like 20 minutes shorter and cut out a lot of the like nonsense, the movie wouldn't be so bad, because it's definitely not as bad as they made it out to be. Like, there's some fun parts in that movie. The whole train sequence especially is a lot of fun. It's just, there's just too much in it. There's no reason. That movie is 150 minutes. There's no reason for a Lone Ranger movie to be 150 minutes long. It's just absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. Next up, we've got the remake of The Magnificent Seven. This was better than it had any right to be. I was expecting this to be garbage. When they announced this, I was not happy at all. But considering the original Magnificent Seven is a remake of itself, I guess you really can't complain too much. So this is it's not terrible. The cast definitely helps make it worth watching. So it wasn't awful. One of the newer westerns, News of the World. Tom Hanks in a western, baby. It's about fucking time. This movie is shot. It's oh my god, it's gorgeous. Some of the shots in this movie are beautiful. Tom Hanks and the little girl, I don't know what the fuck her name is, I'm not even gonna try, are both really good in this movie. It's very more of a quiet, reflective movie, not so much violent as like the West could be. It has some scenes that raise tension and kind of can be violent, but it's definitely a more restrained movie. But still really good. My favorite, we're up to it. We're finally here. I talked about it before. My favorite Western of all time. This is the one. Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. I will say nothing about this movie to you other than you should watch it. And if the opening of this movie alone doesn't sell you on this movie, then you do not know how to enjoy movies. The opening of this movie is masterfully done. It is a dude in absolute control of his craft, knowing exactly what he needs to do to really bring us in. This movie is fucking incredible. Bronson, Henry Fonda, Jason Robards. I fucking love that movie. Honestly, when I'm done with this, I might just put that movie on and watch it right now because it's that fucking good. Another Clint Eastwood, Pale Rider, is another really good Western movie, but that's a given considering it's Clint Eastwood. Man knows how to do his Westerns. One of the hardest to watch Western movies solely because like it's just so slow and it's just a slog and like dreariness. I loved it. I'll never watch it again, and that's The Revenant. The bear attack scene in the beginning of the movie is insane. The opening like battle scene is insane. The whole ending with him fighting Tom Hardy is really awesome. Everything in the middle is just so boring. Like, I get it. Like, he's got to go. It's pretty much just like 2 hours of watching Leo just suffer. And, I mean, it was good. It's shot well. The performances are great. But it's just one of those movies that's just like, I never want to watch that again. I don't want to put myself through it. Another really fun Western. This movie is violent as shit. And that's a Wild Bunch. This is a great fucking movie. Just absolutely wild. That's right, I went there. I did it. This movie's fun. There's another one, the big ass cast. Ernest Borgnine, William Holden, all these other guys that I've never heard of, but you know they must have been big because they all got big billing for it. This is the original director's cut, so this one gets very wild. Awesome movie. You should definitely check it out. And last but not least, the only Steelbook Western movie that I own is Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. This is the better of his Western movies. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz, Leonardo DiCaprio are so good in this movie. They know their characters to perfection. They play them to perfection in this movie. This is a wild ride. This is the perfect type of movie that I love to talk about because I love movies that deal with dark, really dreary, tough to learn about stories and themes, but still having it be entertaining as shit, where it still hits all those beats that you want out of a movie where like it's going to make you laugh, it's going to have you on the edge of your seat, it's going to have you like dreary, crying. It sends you through the gamut of emotions. Just exactly what a movie should do. You should love every second of it, but it should also leave you feeling like you learned something, or at least feeling like you want to go and learn more about the time period of which it is in. And Django Unchained is a great example of that. Phenomenal movie. I need to get the original Django movies so I can watch those ones, because I hear those ones are also fucking amazing. And that's every Western in my collection. It is a whopping huge amount of movies. I don't know how many movies they are. I'll count it and put it in the title. But I just love Western movies. Love collecting them. I love watching them. I love that I still have a bunch to get through. I think my favorite thing about collecting movies is that I will always have something to watch when I'm in the mood for whatever genre. Like, I have more movies than I'll ever be able to keep up with and actually see all of them in my collection. And I love that about collecting movies. It's one of my favorite things because I'll never have short of something to watch, especially when it comes to the Western genre. So if you stuck around, appreciate you guys sticking around. For you guys that like seeing collection videos, I don't know if there's anyone out there that does. I know my dumbass loves watching shit like this, so I'm sure there are other people out there that like watching shit like this. So if you came to watch this shit, I appreciate that. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite Western movies are, what you got that you love. If there's any other genre you want me to do for this, if you want to see my collection in its entirety. It is a shitload of fucking movies. It would be a lot to do, but if there were people that wanted to see it, I would do it, because the fuck else am I going to do in my life? But that'll do it for us here at the Outpost. So, until next time, have a safe day, catch a movie, and adventure on.